Welcome back to another episode of Excuse My Grandma. It's Kim and my co-host.
Grandma Gail.
So, Grandma, I'm still in New York. You're still in Florida. What have you been up to?
Well, this weekend was my favorite day. We flew to New Orleans to see my grandson at Tulane.
One
So,
question. You say
yes.
New Orleans, New Orleans, Nolans. Clearly you
Well, I
say
don't say Nolans because that sounds like somebody who's lives
oh,
there.
that's what the
I
locals.
don't know, however you want to say it. I say it New Orleans.
Okay.
New
So you said
Orleans. I think either is correct. Whatever it is, we went down on Spirit Airways, which is an experience in itself. First of all, there are not that many flights from Palm Beach to New Orleans or New Orleans. So it's very hard to get there this time of the year. Maybe in another 2 weeks, there are a lot of flights. But anyway, we got to the airport. We left our house at 5:30, got to the airport to make a 7:30 flight, which was wonderful. And the seats, if you get the two front rows, they're like bucket seats, and I think you pay $50 more. But on Spirit, you pay for everything. You pay for your handbag, you pay for your wheelies, you pay. There's no, if you want a glass of water, you pay for that. So it's like a come as you pay kind of airline. But the plane itself was clean as a whistle. Very, very accommodating crew. And it was great. We got there at 8:15. It was a terrific flight going. And I got off the plane, and I don't know what possessed me not to wear a heavy jacket. It was so cold and cloudy, which it normally is not. And it was so warm when we had left Florida. So it is usually similar weather, maybe a few degrees cooler. Anyway, we get off the plane. Now I'm wearing a shirt and a sweater that I took out of your closet, as a matter of fact. I'm wearing your clothes now. So I got off I'm freezing, and I couldn't wear the plane. They keep everything so air conditioned down there because I guess they wanted, because of the humidity, but there was no humidity. It was just plain cold. So we got to our hotel, which was fine. It was like, like a motel type of place, very clean and nice. She said, we're a little early to check in the room. I said, that's all right. So your brother picked us up, and I wanted to go for beignets, which in New Orleans is the greatest. But this one particular place has Oreo stuffing inside the beignets.
Oh God, you should have taken a photo.
I took photos. But I have nothing to show. I have a movie to show you how we were eating them.
Cafe Du Mont or whatever.
No, 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 no. This is a small little kind of coffee place that I had been to twice before when I visited him. That's right near his campus, and they have one lady behind the counter making the beignets. So it's a very, kind of home cooking kind of thing. And she's the only one, for whatever reason, because Cafe Du Monde does not have it with the Oreo in it.
Mhm.
It came. He says we'll never get in. Sure enough, there are two people online, a couple of people inside. We get in, we order. It's the greatest thing you ever ate in your entire life. So I said, why are there no people out? It was a Saturday now at around 10:30. He said, if the sun doesn't come out on Saturday, people are depressed. Everything in New Orleans is dependent on weather. So
Wow.
I said, that's similar to what Kim said last weekend in New York. It was like a burst of spring because it was sunny.
Where like people's moods are dependent on the weather.
It's so funny. So then we ate that, and we walked around a bit in the area afterwards. We went over to his house, which we looked at. And I have to tell you, if you think you were living in a decrepit house when you were up at Cornell, this house, it's finished, but the school is almost over. So they're living in a construction site, and
Yeah.
outside there's there's a backyard. Because originally I said you should get a grill and you could grill out there, because I was thinking he has a house with a backyard. The house in the backyard, it's like he's got a tractor equipment in the back. The guy hasn't finished, and he's got a porta sand in the front of the house. So I'm sure the neighbors are thrilled with this whole thing from these fraternity guys. But his room is nice. They have all new bathrooms. They have a cute little kitchen with wires hanging from the ceiling and from the walls. But all right. So that we went over to the house. I saw some of his roommates, and then we went over to the museum. We went then for lunch, and we ordered fried oysters. Then we ordered a big platter, 5 pounds of these crayfish, which
Awesome.
you knock on they take their heads off and then you have to open them up. So you get a little piece of meat out. That's the most delicious thing you ever tasted. But you could eat 1,000 of them. It's like one shrimp. So
Right.
that was fun. Then Poppy ordered a gumbo. So we ate everything.
Yeah.
Everything was great.
Yeah.
Then we said, okay, now our next activity was to go to the museum area. And we went to the World War II Memorial, which is the biggest tourist attraction in New Orleans. And it's amazing. I mean, it goes over like a 2-block area, and it's sort of almost like the Holocaust Museum that they did in Washington, that it's all pictures, movies, and then displays of things during, pre-war, post-war, and during the war. It's fabulous. Anybody that goes there must do that. It's a must-see thing. We got to the 3rd floor. When I didn't tell you, my grandson went and he parked the car in a lot, and he put a credit card in to pay for the space because you had to. And he kept saying, it's not going through, it's not going through. So finally he says, oh, I'm sure it worked. So we got to the 3rd floor of the museum, and I don't know, there was a window that overlooked the parking lot, and we see his car was booted.
Oh,
So for those who don't know what a boot is, you can no longer move your car because they put a heavy metal brace on your back tire. So he said, I think my car is booted. I said, oh no. So now I said, we have to leave now. So we go down, and now it's a big production because
to
you
call
literally,
someone to take it off.
you have to call somebody. But in this particular lot, evidently, if you, they asked for a number, which we had on the ticket that they put on the car. We did it. We had to pay again. This time it went through naturally, which was ridiculous. And then he himself could take the boot off. If it
Oh,
was me, I would still be there trying to take that boot off. You have to go on the floor and put a code in, like a safe on the bottom of the boot. I was worn out. I had
yeah.
to go home and rest. So
Yeah.
that was the end of our afternoon on Saturday. And but I have to say, for all those going to New Orleans, make a little trip. If you're going downtown to to Bourbon Street and that whole area, I think it's the beginning part of that, but sort of a little out. It's about 15 minutes away from downtown. It's a must see. It's
Yeah.
fat.
I feel like you started on such a high with the beignet and then it just kept getting
No,
worse and
no, it was getting better and better until the boot appeared. The
oh,
boot was a terrible moment. I don't think I ever had that.
yeah. I
So
wish we did this Zoom while you were still there because you could have been like on speed Phil and showed me eating the
the
beignet.
beignet, oh my gosh, I never ate so much in my life, and then we had a delicious dinner as well, but I don't want to discuss that.
Okay, I think I get the picture
You
with
get
all.
the picture, it was constant eating.
Yes. Well, that's really fun. You had
Yeah, it
an
was fun.
I feel
We
like
had
that's more than I mean it poured in New York City, so everything just kind of gets like
the same thing.
outside and the like traffic's awful and all of that. But I
What you do?
did a lot of social plans. I just did dinners both nights, like girls' dinners. I've been going to the same two places. I'm trying to be more adventurous. I went on one date during the day in like a hotel lobby, which is apparently fun, except for at 1 p.m. it was completely empty.
Oh
So
God.
the vibes were definitely like kind of off for that. It's hard to find trendy spots, get in. I was so surprised because I've heard of this, like people are talking about this place. It's like there's this hotel called Hotel Chelsea. Like,
Right. Oh yes, that was an old hotel
yeah.
that was used to house all the artists.
Okay, yeah. So it's a super old hotel, but I believe they renovated the
Yes.
insides somewhat recently. And everyone's been talking about how trendy the restaurant is. And I was so surprised he could get into this restaurant that's like so hard. And then, of course, it wasn't in the restaurant, it was just like in the lobby. So I
Uh,
think there was like some miscommunication there, but that was that. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of, I didn't do too many things, but this week's pretty busy. On Thursday is a UJA generosity gala, which I'm on the board for.
for
So
those who don't know, that's United Jewish Appeal. which is a,
It's a
very
really
worthwhile charity that also gives here as well as overseas.
yeah. Um, and it has 850 people coming.
Oh, fabulous. Oh,
Yeah.
that's some number. That's great. Well, I think in these times everybody has to band together.
So that'll be fun. And on Friday I'm going to the opera,
Oh, I love that. What are you seeing?
Romeo and Juliet.
Oh,
I don't
that's
know. It's at the Metropolitan
I
Opera.
bet it'll be wonderful.
I've never been to an opera, and we got these tickets for free. They would have wanted me to go with you, but I'll bring a friend. Um,
Good.
and we start with like a backstage experience and stuff. So I think it'll be pretty cool.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. Oh, I'm jealous. That sounds great.
Yeah. Otherwise, just random plans,
I
and then
think the city in New York is supposed to be beautiful this week, starting tomorrow.
oh,
So I think you're going to get much warmer weather, so you'll be able to really enjoy the city. I'm surprised you didn't go over to the Whitney on over the weekend. That's a very nice little restaurant downstairs also for lunch. And I love that area to walk around.
I didn't do that.
I know, I gather.
From so the Oscars were last night and I went to watch at my friend's house, and she just moved in with her boyfriend in like Hudson Square, Tribeca kind of area, like along the West Side Highway. And
Nice.
I walked from my apartment to there,
Oh, nice.
which is a long walk, and it was pretty windy, but it was so nice because you're kind of walking, you could walk on the West Side Highway or through Hudson Square, and it's all like the old buildings and it's very quiet. It was a nice walk, yeah.
Good. Good.
Speaking of, let's talk Oscars. Let's talk about the fashion first.
Yeah,
So
because the Oscars were a non-event.
yeah, I watched it. I mean, I didn't feel like happy and like excited watching it, but I also didn't think it was bad. Like it
I
was
thought
kind
it was awful. I thought it was awful. I
of,
hate when people make political statements on these kind of shows, but I guess that happens all the time. It
well,
just annoys me.
I think it's a mix because I think sometimes if Hollywood says nothing, we're like, why aren't you using your platform to speak up, and how are you ignoring what's going on in the world? And then when they say something political, obviously when it's one-sided
Well,
in
that's the
we're gonna
problem.
defend it. And
They need me to rebut the other side.
yeah, I guess. I mean, it was odd. I guess we'll start then with that rather than the fashion, but you're I think referring the only like really political moment was Jonathan Glazer's Oscars speech for Zone of Interest, where he I still don't really understand what he was saying.
I think he's not proud of being Jewish. Then he should go. Let him go to the Soviet Union. See how
Okay,
good
can
he.
we talk about like this is the exact quote. He said, "Right now we stand here as men who refute their Jewishness and the Holocaust being hijacked by an occupation which has led to conflict for so many innocent people."
Yeah. So he's pro-Palestinian, which is fine. He can do whatever he wants. But he should be a little ashamed of himself as a Jew to be talking about that. And also, not only as a Jew, Israel was attacked on October 7th. They were not the aggressors. So you can never, they try to flip this conversation, which I find offensive. There are innocent Palestinians, no question, caught in a quagmire, but nobody is innocent in war. And we've done this ourselves during the Second World War and the First World War, when war is war. And when a country is attacked for no reason other than hatred and religious hatred, and their goal is to eliminate an entire race. They don't want to be a partner. They're not interested. They've refused two-state solutions many times, and they don't want to negotiate the release of hostages. And the world has to remember who the victim was. The victims were those settlers and those young people who were at that concert, who were basically all peace-loving people, and they were attacked, brutalized, raped, beheaded. So there's no conversation about Israel's legitimacy in this war. So they want to make an excuse and have a conversation. They can say whatever they want, but history will tell it out. And I feel sorry for anybody who's caught in the war. Israel is the only country I know that puts flyers out in the middle of a war telling people to move. This is war. This is not a game. So, and they're fighting for their survival against a horrible enemy, Iran, and their other people around them. So, this Glazer, I don't get. I don't know him. I don't want to know him. I'm not going to see his movie. And as far as I'm concerned, he's finished. I couldn't care less.
Oh,
So Grandma Gail is saying I'm over with this Glazer.
so you would not watch the movie.
No,
Even
I wouldn't watch it, and I'm really not interested. I'm sure it's probably a very good film, but Grandma Gail's not going to give it any kind of notoriety or any conversation about it. I've spoken too much about it now anyway.
Right. The other thing they did were a lot of celebrities wore these tiny red pins calling
Yeah.
for a ceasefire in Gaza. I had to look at the organization's
Yeah, what
website
is
to see what it really meant. Because I think the hard thing is people were asked on the carpet, why are you wearing it? And they're giving their
I
opinion.
didn't know. Did they know?
Oh yeah, like I think the people who wore it, and not everyone wore it. Like I think the
Right.
people who wore it were definitely aware of like it's provided by this organization called Artists for Ceasefire.
Yeah.
So it's just people saying they want peace.
Yeah. No, not peace. They want to ceasefire so that Hamas can reestablish themselves, and they don't talk about what about the hostages. I'm not interested in any of this
That
conversation
was
with
that was
conversation
going to be
about
my
the
point.
hostages.
So the organization said on their news release that the
Yeah.
pin symbolizes collective support for an immediate and permanent ceasefire, the release of all hostages,
Okay.
and for the
Okay.
urgent delivery of humanitarian aid to civilians in
Yeah.
Gaza. So
Right.
fine. But I think
Perfect.
a lot of people were asked on the carpet, like I saw Rami Youssef, who he was like, yeah, I want like Palestinian, whatever. And that's why he said he was wearing it. That's not what this
Right.
artist ceasefire resembles, according to them. But people are going to say what they think. And that's when it kind of, I think, gets
See, I'm
complicated.
sorry. What I'm disappointed in is that a lot of these people who have platforms really are not educated on what's been going on the last 75 years. And that bothers me because, they make statements without looking up the history of the conflict. There have been, many authors and people, peacekeepers, who've been trying to do a two-state solution for many, many years. It's been rejected by the parties in the area, not Israel. So
Like
now, by the way, two-state solution right now is not happening because you're not going to give anybody a state who's willing to attack them from the river to the sea. So that's the end of that conversation right now.
And also the crazy thing is like they're like, we're calling for a ceasefire. Like clearly Israel wants a
Of course,
ceasefire. We're talking about like and then how can you then not take the side of like Hamas does not want a ceasefire. They're terrorists. So it's
correct.
like you can't if you're calling for a ceasefire, then you're not like telling Israel like
You're not understanding what the conflict's all about. The
yeah.
conflict is about destruction of a state and destruction of a people. They don't want, they keep walking away from the negotiating table on the hostages. What is so difficult about releasing those hostages who are probably, and Kimberly, my heart breaks for this every time I talk about it. They're probably almost dead anyway, if any are still alive, or very few are alive. I mean, the 1-year-old baby can't possibly be alive. What possible reason to take a 1-year-old baby is beyond me. So it's such barbarity. It's beyond my contemplation of humanity, of what anybody could do. So therefore, I don't think we're dealing with a country. We're not dealing with rational people on the other side. And I think, unfortunately, Israel's in a terrible situation. They cannot give up the fight until they get some kind of assurances that they're going to release the hostages.
Okay, let's go back to
Let's go back to the fashion because we're not, unfortunately, you and I are not solving this issue ourselves. I would like to, I would know how to solve it, but I want to
um,
talk about the fashion.
talk about the fashion and also just any strong reactions to winners.
Well, I loved I loved the movie Oppenheimer. I thought that deserved it. I didn't think anybody came close.
I
And of
think that
course,
was
the
thoughtful.
Academy felt, I think they got 9 awards or whatever. They deserved it. Everybody who got the award deserved it. And as the husband and wife team, which was very wonderful, they've done several movies together and they're terrific and they're brilliant.
I
So,
think
I mean, they deserve
also
it.
it seemed that the movie Poor Things won everything. Like
Yeah.
they won so many. And so I had a feeling. So the morning of, I was like, I'm gonna watch this movie. Do you see it?
No,
There's
I
no
didn't see, but I'm going to see it.
don't. Well, I don't personally, I after 10 minutes, I almost threw up. I was like, it is so disturbing. It is
Yeah.
so like um they're doing like open heart surgery and they're like poking each other's eyeballs out. I was like,
Why? What was the
"Stop."
purpose?
It was like the idea was almost like a Frankenstein woman, like that he brought this woman back to life and she was I mean they call her like retarded, like she was totally couldn't speak and her rediscovering the world again. It was so not for
Well,
me.
it's disturbing. People like that.
People
It shows you
clearly
where the
love
world
it. It was
I
like
think that shows you where the people are in the academy.
yeah, maybe. I don't know. And listen, like Emma Stone, amazing actress. I'm
Yes,
sure
she is.
whatever. Like I get it, but it was like, how could people be so obsessed with this movie? I couldn't even get through the first 5 minutes.
Okay. Well, that's what happens. You know, there's sometimes these little quirky movies pick up tremendous credibility and they love Emma Stone and they love, you know, the Academy goes for sometimes those quirky things,
Yeah.
which is fine. I mean, maybe it shows a whole different side of cinematography. I don't
Right.
know.
There's something I'm missing. Like, and I love a quirky movie, but this was just, yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
My favorite part about the award show was the performance from Ryan Gosling of I'm Just
Mine
Ken.
too. Mine too. Well, I only came in at when Robert Downey won the supporting actor, and I thought he was great. And then he did that song that stole the whole show. I
So
mean, that was he's fabulous. I mean, he was terrific.
I
That
think
was really fun.
if award shows want to stay relevant, it's with things like that, that like it's performances, it's like things that are going to be clipped on the internet and people are going to like love. Of course, you have to give the awards out and do all of that, but it's like, I don't know.
Well,
I think
I think they have zeroed on income making it shorter because it what used to be so dreadful, you'd be still watching at 12 o'clock and waiting for the best picture. They know that nobody's watching after a certain point.
well,
And I
they did
have to be very truthful. Kimmel lost me. He's another one that I can stop
that.
watching because he also was not funny and he puts his own of course we don't have to discuss that tweet conversation that was silly. The Trump shouldn't have tweeted and he shouldn't have answered the
Not
tweet.
a real tweet.
Yes.
No.
Yes, I looked it up today. He did tweet. He didn't do it exactly the way Jimmy Kimmel said it, but he did tweet that you're terrible.
My God, I thought he was
And the producers told them not to say anying. But you can't
oh, he had
Trump
to.
can't help
If
himself and the other guys can't help themselves from answering.
you had like if it, I mean, he didn't have to, but I think like if the former president is tweeting and it's that and saying you're awful, it's funny to bring up. Like I don't think that's bad to
Well, I don't know. I thought I don't think either one should be tweeting. Both of them should just
also
take.
his whole thing on the show is he reads mean tweets. I don't know if you've ever seen
Oh, is
that.
that true? Oh, I don't watch his show. Now
So
I'm definitely not watching a show anyway. And then he had to throw in George Stephanopoulos. He called him Snuffleupagus or something at that thing. I don't get the whole thing. And Trump didn't say that in the tweet.
okay, so I
Was
think he had
this
that in
was
the past before maybe, so he just threw that
oh,
in for the
he threw
joke.
that in. The whole thing became a mess.
Yeah, I don't know. It was definitely a hard watch. Okay, fashion wise,
All
what
right, fashion wise, my opinion,
yeah.
too many things around their stomach and a lot of big sleeves. There were a lot of capes going on with all kinds of ruffles. One gorgeous woman at the end, I don't know what her name, you probably know the lady in that pink dress at the end. She's so beautiful with blonde hair.
Oh, no,
Whatever, she was absolutely gorgeous. She wore a dress. I think I'd kill my stylist if I had somebody come out. It was mounds and mounds of fabric on this very.
Ariana Grande?
Was that who it was?
Did she come out like okay, so
There
basically
were
the
two women.
yeah, yeah. So it's the two upcoming stars of the Wicked movie.
Yes,
So
yes.
Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo. Ariana
Well,
Grande.
after
Oh,
I
I thought that was
think
a
that
no, that was great.
you
That
like that? Okay.
for
See?
her, for her, absolutely. Like
Okay.
I
See,
had
that
no
just
problem.
shows you. I didn't I
So
she's tiny.
Yeah, but that's just her look. She's like a Lady Gaga kind of like she's gonna be.
Oh, then she was all right.
Yeah,
Okay.
that I didn't have a problem with that. The things that kind of confused me, well, I agree there was a lot of ruching, there was a lot of corsets. It didn't bother me. I think what was so Emily Blunt wore that gorgeous Schiaparelli gown
Right.
that had the beads and that like V in the front.
Right. I
So
but I didn't think the V ended in the right place.
for me, I'm like, so it had like those floating shoulders, which
Right.
I didn't watch the carpet, so I didn't even see that bit. I just saw when she was sitting in her seat, and I was like, oh my gosh, the dress doesn't fit her. Like it's so structured that it's like above her shoulder. Like I didn't get that it was structurally supposed to be that like
There were a lot of gimmicks.
gimmick. Like
Yeah, a
I
lot of
didn't.
gimmicks.
So to me, I'm like, that would have been gorgeous without the gimmick. Or it should have been really exaggerated. Like it just
Okay.
looked like it didn't fit her.
I don't know. I thought some of this stuff, I love when they wear simple gowns. These girls are all, and women are all beautiful. I mean, no matter what they come out with, they always look gorgeous. The one that I thought was very pretty was the one with the black polka dot dress, the strapless, which I
Yeah,
thought was
Jennifer
beautiful.
Lawrence in
Yeah,
all
she
five.
looked gorgeous. And also I loved Sally Fields. Sally Fields looked beautiful at the I thought she was beautiful. I was so happy to see her because I haven't seen her in a while. Um, to me, the fashion was all right, nothing great. I thought some of the people in the audience actually looked prettier than the people that were on stage. They kept showing
Right. It was like the
people
same thing.
sitting in the front row. And
About Emma Stone, like in the Louis Vuitton white with the big exaggerated kind of peplum.
well, but her dress didn't it was she ripped it in the back.
And the back, oh my
In the
god.
back. So the poor girl, she I don't know how she did it when she was dancing, but I don't know. It was either too tight or something wasn't, there was a malfunction. But
You have
she
called
looks
attention to that if you were her.
no, I would have because she can't close it. And she went up on the stage and she was on an angle at certain points. So she had to make a joke out of it. Actually, I thought she did pretty well with that. She was funny.
So Margot Robbie, she wore that black Versace kind of corseted sparkly dress.
Okay. I don't remember. I didn't really watch the red carpet, so I have to leave this up to you. Did you love it?
I'm glad she didn't wear pink. Yeah, I think she's like, she can't look bad, but I thought that was great. But again, like that structured look that I like.
You like that?
Um, yeah. And then did you like the Wicked Stars wore pink and green?
Was all right. I mean, I didn't love any of them. The only one I loved was the sequin dress on, the one who was co-starred in.
America Ferrera's.
Yeah, I loved her. First of all, I thought her figure was beautiful, and it was just a very simple, pretty bodice. You would have looked pretty in that dress. I loved it on her. She looked beautiful. She looked absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
And there were no extra pieces of material and all that other stuff with the arms and the sleeves. Simple is better, even on stage, because except I guess like you're saying, the pink was over exaggerated and she accomplished what she wanted to be. But mostly, I like the simple dresses better.
Yeah. Um,
I think the dresses are better than the show. I think they should stop after the red carpet and just give the envelope to Al Pacino, and then he would read it right away, and we could go to bed at 8 o'clock.
he hosted the whole thing, it would be done in 2 seconds. Why was he like, oh, I see Oppenheimer. It's
Well,
not
I don't think
Oppenheimer, it's introduced.
anybody told him he has to say the other names. I mean, maybe he didn't wasn't clued in.
No, what do you mean? You say, and the Oscar goes to Oppenheimer, or you say Oppenheimer. You don't say like, look, I see Oppenheimer. Like, what does that mean?
Well, first of all, he didn't announce, which is a fault of
Oh, the
somebody.
nominee.
He didn't give the other nominees, the different names. I guess because in all the other categories they had passed
Yeah, I didn't even.
stars all up there introducing the specific people. So he had to read the other names and then say, and the winner goes to. He just
Yeah.
went right to the card. He didn't care.
Oh my gosh, I just realized that. I don't know
Well, it
why.
was over early. It was perfect.
Right.
I could watch Abbott Elementary right afterwards. I was thrilled.
What is
It's such a cute little show. It takes place in a school and they're all wonderful. And I think that's a very big money maker for ABC. And I think that's one of the reasons that they moved the whole Oscar thing up earlier so it wouldn't interfere with their show.
Oh, really?
That's my take. I have no inside information on this, Kimberly. Nobody at ABC called me, but I have a feeling that they didn't want to eliminate that show, and it's a very wide audience.
Possible.
Anything's possible. Okay, we've summed up the Academy Awards. We've summed up anything else that we're looking forward to this week
And
besides your dinner. I'm going to an Indian restaurant tonight, so I'll give you a full report because I love Indian food. So we're going to try that tonight with friends with a girlfriend of mine.
that sounds fun.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, do we have like a 1950s movie of the week that had to do with
Academy
Oscars, or
Awards.
what was the Oscar winner during, let's see, what year do we want to see?
I don't know. You better look.
What year?
Of 1963, the year I got married.
Okay, the
Probably
Oscar
Breakfast
winner
at Tiffany's. Was it Breakfast at
for
Tiffany's?
Best Picture
Yeah.
was Lawrence of Arabia.
Oh, that was so fabulous. Oh, yeah. Those were great movies. That really that was really a great movie.
Yeah.
Terrific,
Like,
terrific. What
okay,
was 64? When was Breakfast at Tiffany's? Maybe that was earlier, maybe that was 62.
My Fair Lady was 1964.
Oh my god, now we're getting even better
I know.
with Rex
That's
Harris.
surprising to me though, because I feel like a movie musical doesn't usually win.
It doesn't usually. I think what was it? The one
La La
about
Land was pretty
yeah,
close,
yeah.
and that was great.
Mostly they don't. And West Side Story one. There are a few of them because they stand out so really remarkably that you can't deny them to be the best music, the best movie. But
Yeah.
anyway, so the Oppenheimer was pretty good, and I enjoyed it when I was watching it. It made you really think, and I think it's very topical in today's world. So glad it won all the awards it did.
Yeah. I guess we don't really have time to do an Ask Grandma anything,
No, not today because we've been talking too long.
but we'll do one in the next episode and definitely get to that soon on social media. We're Excuse My Grandma. So follow us on Instagram and TikTok. And
Have a good day, guys.